Good morning, everyone. This is Barb Klimkowski, aka the Gardening Guru, staying safe at home. This year's summer reading theme is Imagine Your Story, and in keeping with that theme, I'm inviting everyone to imagine your garden. Now, you know, when you fantasize about a garden, the sky's the limit. But if you're on a limited budget like I am, you have to be a little more creative and resourceful and still have a fun and imaginative garden. So this morning, I'm going to show you some of the creative ways that I've created trellising in my own backyard. And what we have here is a trellis that I put up so that I could grow plants to kind of hide this chimney right here. It was kind of plain and ugly. And one of the problems was that there was also a little trap door at the bottom that we didn't want to cover up. And what I found worked really well was this wooden crib rail. I drove it down into the ground, and then I was able to train sweet peas to go up. And how I attach them is with twist ties. Now, the last time we had that big storm, all of these peas kind of fell over. So I ran a string around this little groove in the chimney. I tied it to that, and I'm able to keep these sweet peas growing back up the trellis and attaching them with the twist ties. I use twist ties a lot in the garden to train my plants. They're cheap. Well, actually, they're free, and they're coated with plastic, so they're weatherproof. And I just love sweet peas. I've seen hummingbirds come to them and big black carpenter bees, and these will form seeds and reseed for next year. Another thing that I've used for trellising is garden gates that I'm no longer using around a fence. And the way that I have attached them is by driving wooden stakes and broom handles down into the ground and tying them in place with plastic clothesline that I'm no longer using. Some of the flowers that are running through here are rose campion, which is a big favorite with butterflies and bees and hummingbirds. And we also have some monarda, which luckily just started blooming. So you get a little glimpse of what's going to happen here. We have a lot of monarda. That's very, the bees really like that. And I take a lot of pictures of these little critters. I also have a little pumpkin plant that's hiding down in there, hopefully that the groundhogs and the deer won't find before it can grow up, and I'm hoping to trellis that up onto the fence. Another thing that I've used for trellising or fencing is baby gates. Instead of throwing them away, I added them to my garden, and this is my fire bowl area, so I use them to kind of enclose the area. We have a baby gate over here, a white plastic one. I have a wooden accordion one over there, and again, I've used things like PVC piping or broom handles to stake it into the ground and tie it up with the plastic clothesline. Now, I'm trying to train things like the sweet peas to grow up, and I'm trying to grow heavenly blue morning glories. I thought that would look really pretty, winding in through the sweet peas and all the other flowers. And with the PVC piping, oh, and that's a fence post, a tent post over there. With the PVC piping and some hooks, I'm able to hang things like baskets and wind chimes. And I was hoping the wind chimes would keep the deer away. But last night I had a deer in the yard, and it discovered that it could play a wind chime, so it kept playing with it. And so I don't know how much that's going to deter us from keeping the deer away from my flowers over here. This is my fire bowl area. I set this up to be very inviting in case I can have company over at some time in the future. But I like to come out here when the weather isn't too hot and have a fire going and cook some dinner, like roasting hot dogs. One of the last things that I've used for trellising is one of these over-the-toilet stands that used to be very popular before everybody wanted to refinish their bathrooms kind of in a minimalist style. So we were able to just pick this up off the side of the road, and as you can see, I have it in place at the center of my fire bowl area with a little stand underneath, and I do use it for putting plants on to keep the animals from eating things like my lettuce. I put it up here on the stand, and I also have some Virginia creeper that I'm training to go across the top of it. I think it's a very nice addition, and it keeps it out of the landfill. Of all the unusual trellises that I have in my backyard, I think that the one behind me is the funkiest of them all. I used the metal springs out of a box spring mattress that we found by the side of the road. There are many useful materials that can be gleaned from a box spring mattress. I'm training the ivy to grow up through the metal wires, and hopefully it'll start to fill in. And one last thing that I am including here is a trumpet vine. These trumpet vines form little orange or red flowers that are kind of trumpet shaped, and they are very popular with hummingbirds. So the key to being creative in the garden is to keep your eyes and your ears open and to think outside the planter box. As the saying goes, one person's trash is another person's treasure. Until the next time, this is the Gardening Guru.